Hello, guys. Welcome to Nuts and Jokes Dugout Discussions. We are back with another episode, and this time राउंड ऑफ 16 के बारे में थोड़ा सा बात करेंगे. बहुत एक्साइटिंग मैच हुआ है, काफी अपसेट्स भी हुआ है, और हमारे साथ आज गेस्ट है राजोशी दा, रोहित दा, अजित दा, और मेरे साथ शाग्निक भी है. तो पहले ही आ जाते हैं. फ्रांस वर्सेस स्विट्जरलैंड. वर्ल्ड चैंपियंस को बाहर निकाल दिया स्विट्जरलैंड ने. बहुत जबरदस्त मैच हुआ है, बहुत अच्छा पेस में गेम हुआ है. तो आप लोगों को कैसा लगा? पहले ही आ जाएंगे रोहित दा के पास.
मेरे ख्याल से it was the most electrifying match of the tournament. Definitely Spain versus the Spain match was also another, but France versus Switzerland का match कुछ ज़्यादा ही contesting था till the dying end. Somewhere down the line, I personally believe France switched off because of Mbappe. It's a bad luck. I won't exactly blame Mbappe, but for some reason or the other, Mbappe was not able to play that day, and कहीं पे मुझे लगा कि even Griezmann switched off in the middle. Griezmann was playing very decently in the first half and even in the beginning of the second half. But उसका बाद कहीं पे he switched off and France missed his presence. और मुझे ये भी लगा कि फ्रांस का डिफेंस वाज a bit overconfident that day. For I don't know why, but they were playing an extremely high line. अगर पता नहीं, if you follow Switzerland very closely, Switzerland is not a team who will sit back and defend. Switzerland has always been an extremely aggressive team, and they like to hit back and counter. Or whenever your opponent is France and you know you can't hit them in an open play, you always have to sit back, defend, and hit them on the counter. So मेरे ख्याल से यहाँ पे France had to be careful about their defense. But for some reason or the other, I personally believe that they were very overconfident. That was one thing. The comeback was excellent. I mean, when they scored, I realized I was kind of sure that France was now going to join Switzerland. But Switzerland came back. I mean, the mentality is something which happened again. Like you can see this tiebreaker that the battle of fortune. But ultimately, in English they say fortune favors the brave, right? And that is exactly what happened. Because Switzerland didn't give up. They kept on fighting until that dying moment. They knew that Mbappe was off. They knew that Mbappe was not clicking. So that's where France needed someone to deliver. Benzema was in good touch, but again, try and understand that the workload which Mbappe takes is nothing compared to Benzema. Because Benzema is only an out-and-out finisher. He will not run all the way from the center to go ahead and finish the ball. The touch which Benzema did in the first goal, I mean, that was godly. I won't even say that was brilliant. That was godly. जहाँ से वो बैक को बैक हिल से सामने लाया, फिर उसका बाद जो फिनिश, I mean that was ecstatic. But then again, these are individual moments of madness. Like you cannot rely on individual moments of madness to win. People are calling it an upset. Most likely it is an upset. Probably फिर से अगर हम लोग फ्रांस वर्सेस स्विट्जरलैंड ऑर्गेनाइज करें तो मे बी फ्रांस विल रन रफ्ट ओवर स्विट्जरलैंड 5 or 6 goals मार के निकल जाएगा. बट लेट अस जस्ट फेस दिस. जब ये बड़ा मैचेस होता है, the nerve is the ultimate thing. So when Switzerland hit back the 3 goals, France should have actually tried to capitalize on a mentality like on a superior mentality. जब वो लोग extra time में गया, मुझे कहीं पे लगा कि France is sitting back, France is absorbing the pressure. What were they waiting for? Probably they were overtly reliable on Hugo Lloris, but they need to understand that tiebreaker is a battle of fortune. No matter how good of a goalkeeper you have, you may not prevail in a tiebreaker. And France looked very, very, what would I say, very tame in the extra time. Like कहीं पे मुझे लगा कि Switzerland was way superior than France in the extra time. They were pressing. Switzerland were high pressing. So imagine a France team that has the likes of Mbappe and Benzema, Pogba. Pogba is also an electrifying touch. The goal of Pogba, that was a wonder. Again, Pogba was an electrifying touch. Unfortunately, जितना भी सारा मूव हो रहा था पोग्बा को सराउंड करके, कहीं पे those moves didn't see the end of the day. It's because the strikers were really not living up to the expectations. Griezmann and Mbappe was off. So Benzema himself was playing out the game. So it becomes very difficult. And like I said again, France defense was kind of a bit lackluster, a bit complacent. And that is where they got hit back. This is something which is alarming. But at the end of the day, all credits to Switzerland. Brilliant game, brilliant mentality, bravery shown. And finally, fortune favors the brave, and so did them. like so did it to them.
जी बिल्कुल। राजोशिदा, काफी अच्छा पेस में गेम हुआ था, बहुत अच्छा रेफरिंग भी हुआ था। आपको कैसा लगा गेम?
It was an electrifying game actually. मुझे तो बहुत बढ़िया लगा and I think this was the result of the tournament for me. ठीक है, no one actually expected Switzerland to get through. I mean, France were the outright favorites. But एक चीज हम लोग को सबको पता है that France weren't at their best on the start of the tournament. ठीक है, they got a bit lucky with Germany and Portugal का साथ भी they play out a draw against Hungary. They got stuck actually, so they weren't at their best. So कहीं ना कहीं तो कोई कुछ loophole था, but I think Pogba was just brilliant. He was the man who was actually dictating the terms during some period, some very good crosses and what a remarkable goal. So I think I could relate this match a bit with the Manchester derby which was played last two seasons. The City had the ball in a countered attack and they scored the goal, they won the match. स्विट्जरलैंड फ्रांस के बिल्कुल वैसे ही टाइप लग रहा था मेरे को. France had the ball, they were charging up front, but some way or the other, Switzerland with the counter attacks, and whenever they got chances, they moved forward and they didn't actually, pass the ball sideways or backward. They always looked to go forward, and that's where they got rid of the France defense, and they scored the goals at the dying moment. And it was a terrific match to take it into the penalty shootout, and you can say that when it gets into the penalty shootouts, it's always 50-50. So I think Switzerland prevailed, and what a match, man, what a result for the tournament. This is what Euros brings us to us. We have seen a lot of surprises throughout the Euros. From the time when I am saying I have been following Euros since 2004, and it has always brought surprises. We got to get to see a lot of surprises in this tournament, and I think it was a brilliant result for the tournament. And I think France, from my point of view, I think Benzema, Griezmann, they weren't at the best. The last time when we saw them in the World Cup, they were performing really well on a consistent basis. But this time around, I think there was only one man show, and that was, I think, Pogba, who was playing really well. And I think Mbappe didn't get his touch. Griezmann was wearing about there. Benzema, he struck the ball really well. He was there about as well. But I didn't see that France team that we are used to see. And I think, Switzerland just got rid over them. And, just took the chances, scored the goal, went into penalty shootouts. And the fortune, as Rohit said, fortune, kept with the brave ones. And they were the brave, footballers. They were the brave players, I think. So I think, Switzerland actually deserved to win, and they got the result which they wanted.
बिल्कुल। औद्रिजदा, आप कितने सरप्राइज्ड हुए जब 3-1 था, उसके बाद जब 3-3 किया स्विट्जरलैंड ने?
First of all, I'd like to say that we have seen almost 6 humdingers out of the 8 matches, the pre-quarterfinals. So it was, I think, one of the best pre-quarterfinal stage matches I've ever seen in the Euros. Coming to this match, I think Rohit and Rajashri have summed up the match review immaculately, and I agree absolutely with them. I think France were complacent, but at the same time, I won't take the credit away too much from Switzerland. I think they played their hearts out, and the result was absolutely not surprising to me. Previously, if you told me without seeing the match that Switzerland would beat France, I might be shocked. But after watching the match, when I was watching the match, I think they deserved to win. Their shoulders did drop a bit when they missed the penalty, Switzerland. And after that, within 2 minutes, France took a 3-1 lead. It seemed as if it would be a goal-scoring fest from there on. France would have a field day, but they came back. They came back with a bang, and when they equalized, when they made it 3-3, I think even the football gods wanted Switzerland to win on the day. But at the same time, I think Mbappe is facing a lot of flack for his performance. Yes, he was below par throughout the Euro Cup this time, but we all know that he is a world-class player. Let's not put too much pressure on the young lad at this point in time. He has a long career ahead of him, and I'm sure he will be back to his very best. But let's just take a moment and appreciate Hugo Lloris's save. I think that was a superb save on his part. The penalty save which he made. It wasn't the best of penalties. It wasn't hit with power, but he had to get his body down very quickly at that point in time. I myself am a goalkeeper. I know how difficult it is to react. First of all, in a penalty shootout, to guess the right side, and then to just in a fraction of a second put your body weight down. And Hugo Lloris is now in his 30s. So it mustn't have been easy for him, but it was a very good save. And coming to Switzerland, I wish them all the very best for the remaining matches. I think they really made their fans proud.
काफी कॉम्पैक्ट पेनल्टी शूटआउट हुआ है और मुझे लगा स्विट्जरलैंड ने जो जिसको भेजा था जो जब पेनल्टी हुआ था उससे अच्छा तो जो 5 लोग जिन्होंने पेनल्टी शूटआउट में मारा काफी कॉम्पैक्ट लगे. समझ में नहीं आया उसको क्यों भेजा गया था. रोहित दा.
See, both are different things. Okay, being honest with you, taking a penalty in a shootout and taking a penalty in a match, both have got different repercussions. When you're taking a penalty in a match, you can actually hit the rebound back in the net. But when you're taking it in the tiebreaker, so I will tell you something. The guy who went for the penalty, I forgot the name, whoever missed it. So the guy who missed out the penalty was Switzerland. Yeah,
Rodriguez.
So he would have gone for the tiebreaker as well. But when he missed that penalty, it hits it like it's kind of a mental toll that takes on you. Okay, and that is one of the reasons why they didn't want to include in the tiebreaker. Because in the tiebreaker, you want your best shooters to come forward. Or again, see, a penalty is something which probably, you can't predict that what's gonna happen, right? Because Odrija summed up very well that how the penalty was not well taken. But once again, I would actually appreciate how Hugo Lloris saved it. Now let's say Hugo Lloris would have went down the other way. Believe me, that same penalty would have got the honor of a cheeky penalty, right? Because it's it's brilliant. He just managed to throw him on the offside, and so it would have been actually appreciated for the simplicity of the penalty, that how easily he converted it. So now that when he couldn't convert it, that took a massive mental toll on him. Or in a pressure cooker situation like tiebreaker, you need to have players who are at the top of their nerve, because every single kick counts, every single moment counts, every single reaction in your body counts. If you put one step forward, you miss a penalty. If you put one step back, you miss a penalty. If you get one reflex wrong, it's about ticks in your body, So every single tick counts. One tick goes haywire, and that's it. So that is the reason most likely they didn't send him, because he, it's like you in the situation, right? It's like you giving out an exam. You probably know the answers when we give exams, but at times we tend to forget. Like, it's not that we don't know it, but when we tend to forget, every single time another easy question comes up, we start questioning ourselves that are we doing it right? Or is it that we are not prepared? Most likely, I don't know it. So it's this kind of a nervous thing that happens on you, right? And I understand that players playing at such high level, they cannot have this kind of nervous breakdown. See, that is cliche. That is wrong conception. We are all human beings. We are not gods. Everybody can have a breakdown. Anybody can miss. Okay? Because at the end of the day, we are all humans. Yeah. There was some place where I read about Michael Jordan. So he said that people know how I have went ahead and put in so many baskets, but then they do not know how many I have missed when my team needed me the most. Right? So that is something. It's like you never know. Messi, the best player in the world, even he shot it from Mars. So it is something which depends on a lot of reflex. You cannot say that why क्यों उसे नहीं भेजा गया या फिर शायद किसी और को भेजते. देखिए, किसी और को definitely they could have sent, right? Like for example, Spain, when Gerard Moreno missed out the penalty, we were thinking, why not someone else? Even for France, Kylian Mbappe is the best player. He missed the penalty. Penalties are always 50-50. You never know, right? Until and unless you are just rolling it down the middle, that is something different. Okay, but at the end of the day,
until and unless Cristiano Ronaldo scores.
Even Cristiano Ronaldo's penalty was saved by Jahan Baksh, if you remember. Ali Reza Jahan Baksh saved Cristiano's penalty. And I
think
that
everybody
guy.
misses penalties, so it's
exactly.
it's normal.
It's just a part of the game. ठीक है, वैसा कुछ नहीं है कि शायद किसी और को भेजते तो वो शायद बाहर ही मार देते, हो सकता है। या फिर देखा जाता ये जो बंदा मिस किया शायद उसको स्विट्जरलैंड दे गया था, उस पे बिलीव दिखा था, यू वुड हैव स्कोर्ड। होता ही है वैसा, बिकॉज सी दीज आर ऑल मेंटल पार्ट्स ऑफ द गेम, दीज आर ऑल हाउ यू प्ले योर नर्व, दैट इज व्हाई इट इज इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर अ प्लेयर टू लाइक that is why we say that football isn't just about bronze, it is also about brains, right? Brains and nerves, everything comes into the picture. So ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं है कि यार किसी और को भेजता तो पेनल्टी अच्छा होता, इट्स ऑल ऑन फॉर्च्यून, वो भी शायद बाहर मारता या फिर वो गोल कर सकता। But I would really appreciate Hugo Lloris's save, like Odrisa said, and it was the turning point only if France could have capitalized on. Because ऐसे high octane situations में क्या होता है, अगर स्विट्जरलैंड वहां पे गोल मार देता, believe me, France couldn't have scored one single goal, because ये mentality हो जाता है, because they are down and they are dead. But वहां पे जैसे I'll tell you the game between Spain, what happened with Spain. So Spain's opponent Croatia was very aggressive in the first half of the extra time. जब पहला अगर तुम 5 या 6 मिनट देखोगे, they were very aggressive. But once Simon pulled off that incredible save, that is where they lost the momentum. That is after that Croatia never came attacking again. It was all Spain. Because ऐसे moments होते हैं गेम पे। 2010 का वर्ल्ड कप में भी नेदरलैंड्स was very aggressive. बट जहां पे कासियास आके आर्यन रॉबिन का एफर्ट रोक दिया था वन ऑन वन में, दैट वाज इट, दैट वाज नेदरलैंड गोइंग बैक इनटू देयर शेल। So these are very crucial moments. Momentum बहुत important चीज है ऐसे हाई वोल्टेज गेम। तुम एक बार अगर मोमेंटम ड्रॉप कर दोगे, दैट्स इट, नो मैटर हाउ गुड ऑफ प्लेयर्स यू हैव, यू आर डन, यू आर डेड।
जी बिल्कुल।
I am
स्विट्जरलैंड
loving
इससे पहले
today's episode. I am loving goalkeepers being praised.
क्योंकि ऑदीसा भी गोलकीपर ही है, तो
ठीक है, we'll
Switzerland-
we'll talk about Kepa
But I am
tomorrow's
disappointed
episode.
with one thing.
Please.
I'm disappointed with one thing. Everybody shared the Spanish goalkeeper's mistake. Very few people shared his outstanding world-class save.
I agree, and I was the one. I even picked up a fight on social media while trying to save Simon. So they said that
What
you being a
about the
Manchester
Switzerland
United
goalkeeper?
fan,
Saved the penalty against Mbappe.
Sommers is one of the best goalkeepers. Probably since he is from
Absolutely.
Switzerland, people doesn't know him much, but actually Sommers is one of the most formidable goalkeepers. And his
He's in the
reflexes are
Bundesliga.
Agreed.
yeah, he's in
Yes,
Bundesliga.
yes.
So he is one of the top goalkeepers of Bundesliga. In fact, they used to hype Bernard Leno a lot, but actually अगर देखोगे Bernard Leno had a problem in playing in big matches. It was Sommers who used to come up with stops. So Sommers actually, rubbed shoulders with players like Manuel Neuer and everyone in the goalkeeping level. So Sommers, no matter whatever is being said about him, the thing is, most of the people who are following Euro, most of them do not follow club football. The ones who follow club football would actually know what kind of a beast Sommers is.
इससे पहले स्विट्जरलैंड ने कभी फ्रांस को नॉकआउट्स में नहीं हराया, ये पहली बार हुआ है। तो जो भी है स्विट्जरलैंड को ऑल द बेस्ट। अभी थोड़ा हम लोग बढ़ेंगे शाग्निक के फेवरेट टीम और ऑजिदा के भी फेवरेट टीम पोर्चुगल के तरफ। काफी निराश है ये दोनों, पोर्चुगल वर्सेस बेल्जियम के। और चलते शाग्निक, तुमको कैसा लगा, कितना डिसअपॉइंटेड हो? अपने तो दाढ़ी भी उड़ा लिए।
गोटी था ना, क्रिस्टियानो रोनाल्डो के लिए था तो हटा दिया। द गोटी इज आउट ऑफ द टूर्नामेंट ऑफिशियली, और आई थिंक दिस इज द बिगिनिंग ऑफ द एंड, क्योंकि आई थिंक फीफा 2022 या कब हो रहा है, फीफा जो भी कतर में हो रहा है, इट विल बी क्रिस्टियानो रोनाल्डोज लास्ट टूर्नामेंट। सो आई डोंट नो, इट्स वेरी सैड। एंड क्या बताए, इफ यू पोर्टुगल यू शुड हैव नोन दैट ये आने वाला था, दिस वाज कमिंग सिंस द सेकंड गेम ऑफ द टूर्नामेंट, वी हैव नोन दैट दिस वाज कमिंग, पोर्टुगल वुड बी आउट बाय राउंड ऑफ 8 और राउंड ऑफ 16। कोई इस टूर्नामेंट में नहीं बोल सकता था कि पोर्टुगल विल बी द चैंपियंस। जो भी हो, पोर्टुगल का फुटबॉल काफी वन डायमेंशनल है, रिमूव काउंटर अटैकिंग फ्रॉम देयर गेम, एंड पोर्टुगल का कुछ है ही नहीं। एंड आई थिंक वन ऑफ द मेन प्लेयर्स जो खेला, रेनाटो सैंचेज, वो यूरो का ही है, वो यूरो 2016 में उसका आया था, ही रोज टू जो भी हो बायर्न बॉट हिम, he was really good. And one more thing, Real Madrid, you brought the wrong Hazard. Thorgan Hazard को लेके आओ, Eden Hazard is old. Please buy Thorgan Hazard. That's all. Best of luck to Belgium. Please knock out England. कहीं ना कहीं अगर मिलोगे तो, and it will not be coming home. So that's all.
बेल्जियम को
Odisha?
इटली मार देगा.
Odisha?
No, it's heartbreaking, but the last interview I did, I said that it's going to be very, very difficult for Portugal. But I'm disappointed with my friends. They were telling me I asked them before the tournament, what do you think? What are Portugal's chances? And everyone was saying, this is their 2016. Don't worry, they will win it. At least they will go to the semis and finals. And I'm looking for them. I'm like, what were you saying, man? What happened? Where's the team? It's Cristiano Ronaldo. Still the same story, even after so many years. Where is the other players? Where are the other players? Come on. So
No, one thing,
disappointed,
Cristiano
very
Ronaldo was
disappointed.
fairly average.
Okay,
Adrisha? Cristiano
in which
Ronaldo was
match?
fairly average in this tournament. Like he scored goals, but he was not at his best. Can you say he was at his best in this tournament? Adrisha? एकदम दिल पे हाथ रख के बोला बस
I
Cristiano
beg to
Ronaldo at his
disagree.
best.
I beg to
Odisha, before you
disagree.
chip in, just like to answer Shagnik. Shagnik, actually, being honest, you see, Cristiano Ronaldo is 36-year-old. Okay, so if you keep on expecting him to keep on doing those dribbles and carry the ball forward from the back, that is way past. Now Ronaldo's best is scoring goals.
Agreed.
Ronaldo is someone who's a formidable striker and can finish. So let's say we have to adjust our expectations to a player's age. Okay, like Ronaldo is someone who used to be a total player at one point in time. When he started for Manchester, he started as a winger. He was not a forward. Then when he switched to Real Madrid, he became a forward, and then he remained a forward. Now the thing is, if you like, it is our like expectations here. Whenever Ronaldo and Messi is playing, they will do everything on the field. It's not possible. It's actually not possible. Portugal didn't support Ronaldo at all. ठीक है, player like Ronaldo will need to be fed the ball. You can't just expect him to shoot. देखो, the thing is, Ronaldo अपना expectation जितना high set किया है, अगर वो एक free kick जाके wall में मारता है ना, we think that Ronaldo has lost his touch. But if you take, even if the best players take 15 free kicks, 2 of them will just go ahead and cross those walls. Most of them will be smacking in the wall. It's because it's not easy to cross them. It needs something godly to go ahead and cross them. So I believe, of course, I'll let it now Odrisha talk about it. I'm really sorry, Odrisha, for interrupting. But Shagnik, जो तुम्हारे लिए जो best तुम expect कर रहे हो कि he will do everything, that is not possible. That is not at all possible. Right now, he's the best at scoring. You give him those chances, he will convert. And Ronaldo, being honest, didn't get those many balls at all in the round of.
So my point of view here, obviously he's best at scoring goals. There's no doubt in that. But you remember the ball he dribbled 2 players and passed one ball to, if I'm not wrong, Diego Jota. From the 6-yard box, he kicked the ball above the. He kicked the ball, in your language, he kicked the ball into Mars. If you remember, Ronaldo fell down, and at the same time he gave the pass. From 6 yards out, he missed. So what else do you expect him to do? You expect him to take the ball from the goalkeeper and dribble 10 players and score? I don't think that's happening. But you need other players to support you. No, at least provide him the balls. I remember in the first match, he was very angry when Diego Jota didn't play him that ball he was looking for. In the next match, they combined well to score a goal, the first goal against Germany. But I think he didn't get enough supply. And also Ruben Dias was very, very average in the entire tournament. He got one chance to redeem himself, but that header, he hit it with power, but straight into the hands of Courtois, and he's one of the best goalkeepers. He won't miss. So I think also kudos to Pepe. He also had a very good tournament. I think the 2 oldies, if I can call them, were simply awesome. But the younger lot, I think they need to pull up their socks. Also, Joao Moutinho, he was also very good in the last couple of matches he played. And also disappointed with Bruno. I know he has had to take a lot of workload at Manchester United. But when it comes to the Euros, won't you expect a player of his caliber to step up? I don't know. I'm disappointed. In fact, Bernardo Silva was better, much better than what Bruno did for Portugal this time.
I have a
Yes, Rajesh.
yeah, I have a question with both Audrey's and Rohit. See, we saw the golden generation of England in 2010 falter. Okay, let's be precise. And the the main reason was that Scholes, Gerrard, Lampard, they played for different clubs in England, correct? And they actually didn't combine or they didn't actually put up together very well. Do you think is that's the same problem with the Portuguese side? Because I feel Bernardo Silva and Bruno Fernandes, from my point of view, are the most effective and the most productive midfielders in the Euros. They were the most productive midfielder in the Euros, but they couldn't turn up the heat. Okay, do you feel that is the reason that Bernardo Silva plays for City, Bruno plays for United, and Renato Sanchez, he actually came on later on, and he was the only one productive out there in the middle. And Ronaldo playing for Juventus is a different level. That's a different thing. But Moutinho playing for Wolves, don't you think like this side is actually not combining well enough? Talking about this Euro. What's your take?
Rohit, you want to go first?
Yeah, I will. So, Rajarshi, in the first place, if you are hinting at the fact that if Santos can manage Ronaldo to be a part of Manchester United, thank you. So definitely Bruno and Ronaldo will start combining well, but I don't think that's happening in the near future. Though we have offered him a contract, but I'm pretty sure he's gonna turn it down. Now, coming to your point, Rajarshi, I have already mentioned it several times. This Portugal is a team of superheroes. It has got everyone in their team, but the only problem is they are not the Avengers. They have still not combined, and until and unless they combine, they will never be a good team. Ronaldo is a superstar in his capacity. Fernandes is a superstar. Andre Silva is a superstar. Everybody out there is a superstar. But unfortunately, you cannot win matches with 11 superstars. You can win matches with one team. So yes, I agree with you. But again, see, try and understand players of this caliber. Okay? Even if you see Belgium, Belgium hasn't got players playing in the same team. Lukaku plays in Inter Milan. Kevin De Bruyne plays in Manchester City. Then Hazard plays in Real Madrid. So the thing is, believe me, it's on how the players can adapt themselves, because adaptability matters at such a high level. You know what to do, you know what exactly to unfold. If you say that combining at a club level is actually not happening, not helping them to adapt at an international level, I don't think it is actually a very powerful excuse that you're giving. Because see, all these players, they are well trained, they have been playing for a long time, and I personally believe that they should right now be going good enough to understand each other's style. Okay? And this is one thing which I generally didn't like about Santos. See, Bruno Fernandes is someone who is not a deep playing midfielder. He plays in the attacking third. He plays in the attacking third. Unfortunately, Santos has been using him in a deeper role. Bruno Fernandes has never been successful in a deeper role. Ole tried him twice and he failed miserably. So that is something which kind of is not working out with Bruno. Now again, I understand given the availability of Moutinho. Yeah, but the thing is, Bruno Fernandes is not a creator from the back. He is someone who will bridge the gap between the defense and the attack and will start stringing those balls. He will start chipping in those long balls or most likely create that $1 million pass. Okay. But the thing is, again, try and understand there is another difference. There's another thing that happens at Portugal that has to go clash. You have got Ronaldo, you have got Bernardo Silva, you have got Bruno Fernandes, you have got Moutinho. A lot of egos coming in together. So So I personally believe that playing at the same club is not the answer. Unifying for the international team is the answer. Now, how are they gonna do it? Depends on Santos. How is he gonna use the players? Depends on Santos. One more thing, I would like to believe, like Shagnik at one point in time mentioned, that Portugal's game was too one-dimensional. This is what happens when you have a target man. When you know, so when does a target man comes into the picture? When you do not have quality strikers in your team. Like when Lukaku used to play for Manchester United, he was Manchester's target man. Or when Zlatan played for Manchester, since Rooney was already on the decline and Rashford was still rising, Zlatan was their target man. But Portugal has got players who can score. Portugal has got players like Jota, Bernardo Silva, Moutinho as well, who can score. In fact, when Renato Sanchez came in, when he can score. So whenever you have players who can score, you will have to rely on them instead of picking your target man up with a long ball or with a probable long chip, because it gets much more difficult on for him. Like, I understand that he's willing to take that workload, but just because he's willing to take that workload, you do not put everything on him. You have to allow him. You have to give him that freedom to operate. That is somewhere I believe Portugal lacks. However, still, if we go by the stats, Portugal took 23 shots, wherein Belgium, I guess, took 5 or 6 shots. That is a staggering difference. But once again, like the Belgium defense, it's one of the best defenses in the world. And do not mind about Courtois. I mean, no doubt, he is one of the leading goalkeepers of the world. So it became a lot more difficult. And Portugal at one point in time, so did Ronaldo, started being frustrated. And that was only because he was not getting what he wanted. I understand it's not always possible to, give you what you wanted. But again, a player of Ronaldo probably would deserve much more support from his players in order to fire. So Rajarshi, coming to your question, I don't think unifying at the club level is the answer. Unifying at the national level is the answer. That is what other teams have been doing, if you check it out. Not all of those players play together. And another important point is, I will definitely take your suggestion. If you can actually suggest Santos, that the answer to your Portugal developing is Ronaldo, Bernardo Silva and Bruno Fernandes playing in the same club, to bring them in for Manchester United, you're most welcome. I'll be more than happy to welcome them. So that's all from my end.
Aditya.
Well, Rajashri, in a utopic world, I think that would be a great thing for Portugal if all their players can play together at the same club. But can you make that happen? I mean, can maybe Bruno say that I'll come to Manchester United, but you'll have to sign Ronaldo and Jota and other few players along with me. Only then I'll come to Manchester United. You can't do that, right? So you'll have to utilize the friendly matches and whatever time you are getting. All the teams are doing the same. Portugal is no, they need to also do the same. I'd like to ask a question to Rohit as well. I agree to your point that they are depending heavily on Ronaldo to score goals. That is evident from the fact that Andre Silva, who was scoring goals for fun in the Bundesliga last season, he wasn't being used up front. He was being brought when very late into the matches, when the match almost went out of the hand of Portugal. So do you agree to that? Or do you think he should have started?
I am. So I don't agree with the fact that Andre Silva was brought late, because we know what kind of damage Andre Silva is capable of. Like I said, Ronaldo,
and he's in red hot form as well, no?
Exactly. So I believe that Andre Silva should have been brought on much earlier to support Ronaldo. There's one more name that I would like to mention, despite the fact he's not in the best of form. That's Ruben Neves. Ruben Neves is a player who can change the game in a flash of the eye. You never know when Ruben Neves goes ahead and steals it from you. So I personally believe that the best attacking options were not used. They should have started the game. So yes, I agree with you, Adrisa, that Andre Silva should have started the game. So would have Ruben Dias.
अब और एक अपसेट के बारे में भी बात कर लेते हैं. हम लोग स्विट्जरलैंड फ्रांस के बारे में भी बात किए थे एकदम पहले ही. नेदरलैंड्स चेक रिपब्लिक पैनल्स.
Netherlands and Czech Republic, believe me, the very moment their best defender walked off the pitch, that was over for Netherlands. और पता नहीं यार, डीपे कुछ ज्यादा ही extraordinary लग रहा था in missing chances. Barcelona will definitely be mulling over their opportunities, that why did they bring Depay in the first place. Netherlands never looked like they were going to win. They did create chances in the beginning, but the very moment their strikers started missing, that was over for them. And I would really like to appreciate the way Czech Republic played, especially Patrick Schick. Schick or Schick, I don't know how you pronounce it. Patrick Schick and Thomas Tuchel. They were absolutely brilliant. They knew what to do, and they were very attacking, very persistent. That is what you expect. But another personal plaudit that I would really like to do for Netherlands, that was Dumfries. Dumfries was absolutely brilliant. It was unfortunate he couldn't score, but again, he's really going to be a big thing in the near future. But yes, all credits to Czech Republic. They came together as a unit. They fought a team like Netherlands and qualified in a very comprehensive way. It was not a fluke. It was not a lucky escape. It was a brilliant battle, a brilliant technical adaptation, and they did a fabulous job.
अब थोड़ा बात करते हैं इंग्लैंड वर्सेस जर्मनी के बारे में. राजू सीधा.
Yeah, even I'm thrilled actually. I have waited for this for 15 years. My father used to taunt me. He's a German fan, but at last I have the last laugh. But I think yeah, it was a great match. It was a great match. England play. They set up a defensive side, which was quite annoying from my point of view because I thought they must have placed Grealish at front from the start. I think Saka played really well. He was really good, but like you have to go with the result. Southgate it was a master stroke some way or the other, till 70th minute, I think England prevailed two strikes from Havertz and Warner. And I think they survived the scare. And after 70 minutes, as I told you from the beginning, Jack Grealish, he's a master. No? I rate him, I rate him at the level where, Bruno and all the Kevin De Bruyne stands. I think he's the one who is going to be a great player for the future. And he's building up really well. And he was the turner. He was the game changer. Came on, you know, and Sterling got the ball. He passed into Grealish. Then Luke Shaw, assisted. Gave his assistance to Sterling scored, and let on Harry Kane scored. It was a perfect game for England. It's a big result. They have waited this for long years. Southgate waited it for 25 years. It was a redemption for him. At last, England got the result which they wanted badly, and now I think the road is quite a bit clear, you can say, till the finals, but you never know. We have seen a lot of surprises. They need to play really well and need to be positive, a lot more positive than they were against Germany. But nevertheless, great result, and it was a great night for me, actually. Thanks.
Rajashri, in one word, is it coming home?
Yes, absolutely. Three Lions Road. I hope so, mate. I hope so.
It's not coming home, Trista. As long as Gareth Southgate is here, it's not coming home. England's bench is more stronger than England's first 11. England's bench.
We will see that.
But I'm very happy for Sterling. I think he was very good. Last night.
Absolutely.
I think he was suffering
was.
with injuries and also lack of form coming into the tournament. But I think yesterday last night his performance was really good. I think that should hold him in good stead.
Even Harry Kane scored.
I am also very happy.
Harry Kane.
I'm also happy about one man stringing those assists, and that is Luke Shaw. I can
United forever.
Happy. So yes, I'm pretty sure Mourinho must have had some fever after watching Luke Shaw assisting.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, there's just one point that I'd like to mention, Diptan and Rajarshi. So it is after the game that happened when Germany lost. It is kind of a very shameful incident that happened. A young girl was seen crying, hugging her mother. And after that, a few English fans actually had the courage, infamous courage, I would rather say, of going ahead and slamming the girl, saying that she belongs to a Nazi facility and that is why they deserve to lose. Now, this is a very shameful incident, believe me. Watching a game, watching your national team perform in the stadium, in your national duty, is kind of a privilege, it's kind of a dream that we all have. Not everybody gets to fulfill it. It is a wonderful sight for us to witness such a young girl coming together to the stadium, watching the game, embracing the game, loving the sport, resonating with the emotions of the team, right? That is something which we rarely see these days. Now, that is what we are getting to witness. A young girl growing up all together and, loving their team performing. And however, a few freaks have this audacity of going ahead and calling her like a Nazi. Believe me, just this message is for you people who still believe that, supporting a team, supporting a football team has its roots in some preceding historical event which doesn't affect them in any way. You guys have a very twisted mentality. Do not discourage any fan from doing this. Do not discourage a fan from crying. Do not discourage a fan from laughing. Do not discourage a fan from expressing his or her emotions. And I would really like to tell this to the girl, champ, you ought to grow up one fine day, and believe me, Germany will fight back and Germany will fight back for you. It is because of fans like you It is because of people like you who love the sport, who loves their country. This sport exists. Without the fans, no other teams, no other countries would exist. This is the bottom line. Whoever believes, and also I would another point. There are people who in India who supports England, like Rajoshi himself, right? And I have seen people slamming Indian supporters of England, saying that oh, Acha, they must have got their roots in the colonization era. The colonization was a grand howler. It was a grand howler. It's another historic howler. But how on earth a guy who was not born in that era can root there? People need to understand this is not enmity that we have on the field who we play football, right? It is rivalry. And once we are off the pitch, we are all friends. We have seen Ronaldo and this guy, I'm forgetting his name. Ronaldo and De
Messi.
Bruyne, I guess, if I'm not so mistaken. No, they are hugging each other. They were hugging each other at the end of the game. Again, in cricket, Virat Kohli and Kane Williamson hugging each other after the test match. This is what replicates the emotion and the sportsman spirit. Support that, support a young girl who's supporting a team. Do not demoralize her like this. Do not discourage her. That is the message. This is sport. Take it like a sport.
ये काफी अच्छा मैसेज
Well
रोहित
said,
दास
Rohit.
See, we are in India. We are in India. We are waiting for the day when the stadiums would open over here, and we would be able to go to the stadiums and cheer for our favorite teams. And then
Exactly.
they are being able to go to the stadiums. They are lucky enough. The pandemic has eased a bit over there, so they are lucky enough to go to the stadiums. And this is what I think we, on behalf of this channel, Nerds and Jocks, we condemn this act thoroughly.
ठीक है, अब बात करते हैं और
Black
एक
coat
गोल
से
फेस्ट
turn.
के बारे में। स्पेन वर्सेस क्रोएशिया, रोहित दा के फेवरेट टीम, बैक टू बैक 2 मैचेस में 5 गोल मारे स्पेन ने। कैसा लग रहा है स्पेन का गेम, रोहित दा?
I'm actually very happy with the way Spain is playing. This is a new Spain for me. Honestly, this is a new Spain. This is not that same Spain that used to play in the early 21st century, where they would sit passes until that last moment and then finish. This Spain believes in much more open play. They believe in keeping driving on and on. They do not simply give up. That is the best part. Like no matter whatsoever happening after drawing the first 2 games, this Spain lacks a lot of mentality. However, I believe the last 2 games में Spain ने बहुत अच्छा mentality दिखाया. They keep on driving. They keep on, like they are much more attacking on the wing. Pedri on the left and then Ferran Torres on the right. They've been brilliant. Pablo Sarabia has been equally brilliant, to be honest with you. Pablo Sarabia has actually fought his way up to this level and has been doing a great job. Let's talk about the own goal which Simon considered, nice Simon considered. I believe that was a bit of a bad luck because ऐसे होता है, हम लोग बहुत बड़े-बड़े मैचेस में देखे हैं. We have seen carriers doing that mistake. We have seen a lot of mistakes happening like that. But this is something which actually can't be avoided. This is kind of a blooper. शायद हम लोग देख के हंस देते हैं, वो बहुत अच्छा है. We criticize the players, but actually the one who is playing, he plays under a lot of pressure. He plays under a lot of tension. पूरा दुनिया उसको देख रहे हैं because believe me, I have been in these kind of matches. I've played myself. It becomes very difficult because when so many people are cheering for you, it is very difficult to keep your nerve under control. So most likely he couldn't gauge the ball, so that was unfortunate. But he redeemed himself. If Unai Simon wouldn't have came up with those brilliant saves, Spain would have lost the match in the game itself. Forget extra time, forget anything. In fact, it was Unai Simon's save in the extra time that turned the match on its heel. Croatia was attacking back to back, and in the first 5 to 6 minutes, it was all Croatia in the extra time. But then, as soon as Unai Simon pulled up that save, Croatia didn't even bother to come back. It was all Spain. Spain were all over the place. They were attacking, scoring goals. They were aggressive. They were everything. And I really love this Spain. And one, I have really not supported this guy, Luis Enrique, but I will like to tell this, I like from the bottom of my heart. He showed the courage of using this statement in reality. Attack is the best defense. He knew he didn't have the best defenders in his line because he substituted them. So he had to go with whatever he had in his kitty. Pau Torres was lacking in that game. Pau Torres really looked. He is not genuinely. He's a good player. Unfortunately, he looked way off his element. But as soon as that save was pulled off by Simon, that changed the momentum. जैसे मैंने पहले भी बोला, ये सब गेम्स में momentum बहुत मैटर करता है. and it is very important that you keep your momentum. Ideally, when Croatia equalized with 2 late goals and that late drama, the momentum was entirely on their side. But they dropped that momentum when Simon pulled off that save. That is when Spain started believing if Simon can do that after going ahead and conceding such a howler, that's a turnaround. Because ideally, Unai Simon में पहले जब गोल खाने का बाद ना जितना भी स्पेन बैक हो रहा था स्पेन के लिए, they were all to the defenders. They are not passing back to Simon. But they started passing back to Simon in the second half. And Simon pulled up a couple of brilliant saves. एक opportunity मिला था वहां पे जहाँ पे Simon stooped back to his right and saved the low save. It was almost going into the goal, and believe me, being a goalkeeper myself, it's a very difficult save to pull off. And he managed to pull it off. He didn't let the ball pass. So my wholehearted best wishes to Unai Simon, despite being an ardent aficionado of David De Gea. But I would definitely say that Unai Simon has been at his phenomenal best. And a special word of praise for Ferran Torres, Pablo Sarabia, and Pedri. Another important change that has really impacted Spain's game is the introduction of Sergio Busquets. The very moment, right since the day Sergio Busquets has come in, the entire complexion of Spain has changed. Because Busquets, I have said it previously, he plays as a pivot. That is very important in the way Spain plays. Because Spain relies on passing football. अगर पिवट नहीं रहते हैं बीच में, so ideally अगर तुम defensive midfielder डालोगे, just a defensive midfielder, he tends to soak in the pressure, but he doesn't tend to building those good one-touch passes. He doesn't believe in going up, taking the defense line high with him. That is exactly what Sergio Busquets does. He plays as a pivot, he turns the passes, he moves along with the defensive line higher up the order, and he starts attacking everyone. That is why it is so important. That is why the introduction of Busquets have been extremely important to Spain. I am happy, or I am even happier now that Spain doesn't have to play France in the quarterfinals. But I am also sad that अगर स्पेन जीत भी जाके सेमीफाइनल जाता है तो सामने या फिर बेल्जियम या फिर इटली रहेगा और बहुत टक्कर का कंटेस्ट बनवा।
और दिलदा, आपको एल्वारो मोराता का गेम कैसा लगा?
Well, I backed him in the last video we did. I said I've seen him score very good goals for Juventus, and now I'm very happy that the lad has scored. And I think the first touch he took, the trap he did, I think shows what a good striker he is. He is capable enough, and I think the that goal he got. I was saying in the last video. Well, that one good goal can bring out the best in Morata. It happens with strikers, no? They are out of form and they suddenly they splash of brilliance, and suddenly you see the best of them. So Morata's goal, I think, is going to do him a world of good. And come the next match, I think I also agree with Rohit's point that this is a different Spanish team. Their style of football is different, and it also shows how good player Busquets is, because he has played with that team, that passing football, don't get impatient, pass and move, that style of play. And now he has adjusted so well to this new form of play that Spain is putting out. So kudos to Busquets as well, and also to Alvaro Morata. Watch out for him in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I agree with Odrisa. He is going to be a threat in the quarterfinals because these are turning points for strikers. When they keep on trying and they keep on missing, the very moment they get one goal, they start getting dangerous. And believe me, Morata can be a massive threat in the coming future.
अब थोड़ा टूर्नामेंट फेवरेट्स की ओर बढ़ते हैं। पहले वो लोग नहीं थे, अब थोड़ा टूर्नामेंट फेवरेट्स बन चुके हैं। इटाली के बारे में थोड़ा सा बात करते हैं। इटाली वर्सेस ऑस्ट्रिया। इटाली काफी हम लोग जानते थे इटाली एज अ डिफेंसिव टीम, अभी लग रहा है बहुत अटैक में भी वो लोग बहुत सॉलिड है। तो कैसा लग रहा है आपको शाग्निक?
आई थिंक ये मैच के बाद इटली का जो हाइप हो गया है, इटली अंडरडॉग्स बिकेम टूर्नामेंट फेवरेट्स क्वाइट ऑब्वियसली, बट ये मैच थोड़ा सा कहीं ना कहीं ब्लंट हो गया। लाइक ऑस्ट्रिया has not been a great team. उन लोग का अटैक में जो मेन मैन है मार्को अर्नाटोविच, वो one of my favorite players. He was there obviously, but still ऑस्ट्रिया कहीं ना कहीं इटली people expected more out of Italy, but 90 minutes 0-0, फिर फेडरिको चीसा comes off and scores. वो बहुत ही अच्छा था। यूवेंटस मैन Chiesa scores, and अर्नाटोविच का एक गोल था which was overruled, but still कहीं ना कहीं Italy's hype has been blunted, but क्या पता आगे जाके कुछ अच्छा भी हो सकता है इटली के लिए.
Just to add just one comment to this, Italy found the best match, their best opponents to play the worst match of the tournament.
अब थोड़ा बात करते हैं डेनमार्क वर्सेस वेल्स के बारे में। डेनमार्क के कप्तान नहीं थे, तब भी डेनमार्क ने बहुत अच्छा प्रदर्शन किया। आपको कैसा लगा अजीजदा?
Well, let me state this first. I don't think I've said this before on this channel. I'm a Tottenham Hotspur fan. I'm very disappointed for Gareth Bale. My heart goes out to him. But at the same time, I'm happy for Denmark and also for Christian Eriksen. I know he is supporting the team from wherever he is now. He must be watching his team and supporting it wholeheartedly. So I'm very happy that Christian Eriksen is happy at this point in time. What a performance. 4-0, a drubbing of Wales. Not many would have expected it. Yes, Denmark were favorites going into the game, but 4-0, I think that would hold Denmark in good stead coming the next matches. And I think now my team, Portugal, is knocked out. So I am supporting all the underdogs now. In each and every clash, I'm supporting the underdog, and I want an underdog team to win this tournament.
ठीक है, चलिए अब बढ़ते हैं यूक्रेन वर्सेस स्वीडन के तौर और रोहित दा।
एक हार्ट ब्रेक था स्वीडन के लिए, लास्ट मिनट में गोल कंसीड किया। बट टू बी ऑनेस्ट यूक्रेन वाज डेफिनेटली the more what would I say, more superior team. They played a very good technical game. Yarmolenko led from the front, and he was always they always looked as if they are swooping in for those chances, they are swooping in for those attacks. So I personally believe they are the deserved winners. But शायद अगर कुछ and one thing that worked against them, worked against Sweden was that red card which happened in the 99 minutes, that they had to play for the next 21 minutes without a man. And in such a situation जहाँ पे आधा से ज़्यादा players tired हो जाते हैं, every man counts. वो पोजीशन पे जाके एक मैन को लूज करना becomes very difficult for you to handle. That is exactly what happened. Numerical superiority था स्वीडन के यूक्रेन के पास, and उन्होंने यूज किया। उन्होंने गेम भी अच्छा खेला था, and the deserved winner. And I'm really happy that they have come this way. And I am really happy for Yarmolenko after he scored that stunner in the group stages. I really thought that he should, cover some distance, and he's done that. Now I don't know what's going to happen from here on because they are up against England. But again, I won't really be surprised if they put up a great fight with England. I'm not saying they'll defeat England, but अगर एक बहुत अच्छा fight put up करते हैं, I won't be surprised.
ठीक है, अब थोड़ा बात करते हैं कोपा अमेरिका के बारे में। पहले ही आ जाएंगे ब्राजील वर्सेस इक्वेडोर में। शागनी
कोपा अमेरिका मैं देर से बोल रहा हूँ, बहुत फनी टूर्नामेंट है क्योंकि इक्वेडर हैव नॉट वन अ मैच एंड स्टिल दे आर प्रोग्रेसिंग इनटू द क्वार्टर फाइनल। इससे अच्छा क्या हो सकता है फॉर इक्वेडर। पर ब्राजील उन लोग पहले क्वालिफाई कर गए थे। दे रेस्टेड मोस्ट ऑफ देयर फर्स्ट टीम प्लेयर्स, ठीक है, सेकंड टीम लेके खेला, बट फिर भी आई थिंक दे लैक क्रिएटिविटी कहीं ना कहीं बिकॉज द मोस्ट प्रोडक्टिव प्लेयर फॉर ब्राजील हैज बीन ऑब्वियसली नेमार। सो इफ दे रेस्ट नेमार, कहीं प्रोडक्टिविटी नहीं था फील्ड में। द बेस्ट प्लेयर अकॉर्डिंग टू मी वाज लुइस पकेटा. He was already there and he played nice. And others like Gabigol, I expect a lot from Gabigol. I'm his big fan. So he disappointed a bit. Kind of again, Brazil conceded in the last two matches after keeping a clean sheet first two में. तो आगे जाके ये थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है या नहीं भी हो सकता है because obviously they fielded the second team. They'll be playing against Chile and I think I'll be looking forward to that because ये टूर्नामेंट देखो कुछ भी हो जाए, आई थिंक ब्राजील आर टीम चैंपियंस ऑफ दिस टूर्नामेंट, सो कुछ बोल नहीं सकते। दैट्स इट।
ठीक है, थोड़ा बात करते हैं अर्जेंटीना के बारे में भी। अर्जेंटीना ने कन्विंसिंगली जीत हासिल किया है बोलिविया के साथ 4-1 के साथ। आपको कैसा लगा रोहित?
मैंने पहले ये जो हम लोग पहले रिव्यूज कर रहे थे, मैंने बोला था कि ब्राजील आर द रनअवे लीडर। आई एम राइट नाउ कंसीडरिंग माय statement. I don't think Brazil are the runaway leaders. Argentina seems to be in devastating form. Or the more important thing that I'm really loving about this Argentine side is the way they are shuffling between their defense. Nicolas Otamendi played such a wonderful game in the last match, and they simply chose to sub him off. They started with Martinez, They started with Pizzella. Martinez, I have always said that he is actually a great player and he can continue to be a very important threat for Argentina. Because, Martinez is not just a central defender. He also goes up. He also attacks. So, मेरे ख्याल से this Argentine team is actually doing a good job. And I believe, I'm pretty sure, Shagnik and Dipsan, the coach hai, that is Scaloni, they must have watched our episode. They made Aguero start, and they chose not to drop Aguero anymore. And they also made Angel Correa start. So Angel Correa is also a very good player, according to me. But I am really impressed with the way Argentina dominated. And one more important thing that needs to be taken into factor, that is how Lionel Messi is operating. He has been in devastating form. Now another stat that can be a bit heartbreaking for Argentine fans. Whenever Lionel Messi has performed throughout the tournament, Argentina has qualified for the final and then has been knocked out.
Also,
So,
one point,
I understand.
Rohit.
Mhm.
Acha, no, you say. One point, Lionel Messi is now the most capped player of Argentina. So, would you like to say about that, something?
Well, of course, he deserves it. He absolutely deserves it. He's see again. I have not seen Maradona playing. I have seen his videos, yes, but I have seen Lionel Messi playing. He deserves it. And currently, this Argentine side, if someone has been a consistent monitor and has played in and out for Argentina, that is Lionel Messi. He deserves it, and he's undoubtedly the best player in the team. But again, every single time Messi has been the best player in the Argentine team, Argentina has made it to the finals but has never won, unfortunately. Another important point that I will like to bring forward, that is Lautaro Martinez has scored. Like we talked about Morata, these goals are very crucial for players like strikers. Martinez was not able to score for Argentina for a while. Now that he has got his goal, he will turn into a much more dangerous version of himself. So players will have to be aware. So again, not taking anything away from Argentina, this side actually challenge good teams, and I am pretty doubtful about the fact that will Brazil be the runaway leaders because of the Argentine defense. The Argentine defense has been rock solid.
और जिसदा आपको क्या लगता है अर्जेंटीना का कितना चांसेस है इस साल?
Well, I think it still depends on Messi. He is still the one-man crew in this team. Rohit has mentioned that Argentina are now strong contenders, but Rohit, 4-1 victory against the team which had the last 4 matches. You think that this result would catapult Argentina to do good things from the knockout stages?
No. This result, I won't exactly say that this result would catapult them, but Odrija, even you would know, in tournaments like these matches play a very crucial role. These matches play a crucial role in shaping up the psychology of a good team. If they ended up in a draw, बहुत ज़्यादा pressure create होता है teams के ऊपर because the team, or if they ended up in a most likely in a lucky escape like 1-0 or 2-1, बहुत ज़्यादा crucial हो जाते हैं, and it becomes very difficult for teams like Argentina to cope with such pressure. But now that they have managed to win 4-1, this is an emphatic scoreline. And why I said that Argentina is a strong contender, because not only of this 4-1 victory, they have also managed to defeat Uruguay 1-0. They have managed to draw with Chile 1-1. Brazil का अभी तक जितना भी contenders आया है, they are not as good as Chile and Uruguay. I believe you'd agree with that. So that is why I am saying that Argentina is actually facing much difficult opponents. Brazil is having a walkaway because see, Brazil has got a good team, no questions about that. But the thing is, the quality of opposition that they have faced, it's not good enough. So you never know what kind of things happen or what kind of wonders happen. But yeah, like you said, it won't play a big role. But winning these matches by a comprehensive margin is very, very important, because if you remember this match, 2007 T20 World Cup, right? Australia was defeated by Zimbabwe in their opener, and that took a serious hit on them. Similarly,
Brendan Taylor.
Exactly. Brendan Taylor ने बहुत अच्छा खेला था. ICC World Cup 2003, right? जहाँ पे इंडिया फाइनल में 2003 या 2004 क्या था? 2003. पहला 2 मैचेस नेदरलैंड्स का अगेंस्ट में इंडिया बहुत स्ट्रगल करके जीता था, and then India lost to Australia, and then against Zimbabwe, it had to be a masterclass from Zahir Khan in the last over to go ahead and actually bail out India. तो बहुत ऐसे situations आया था जहाँ पे इंडिया के ऊपर ऐसे pressure आया था because they were not doing against teams like Netherlands. So it's not the victory that changes the shape, but a victory is a mandate in these kind of games to keep the psychology of the team intact. And a comprehensive victory like 4-1 will go a long way. And ये सब matches confidence में बहुत ज़्यादा impact करता है. And players like Lautaro Martinez, who are actually crucial components of the team, now that they have scored, and at the same time, Martinez, as in Leandro Martinez, who has been playing as the defender, he has also managed to do a decent job. So they will get a lot of confidence going into the next round. That is what I'm trying to say.
Agree. I absolutely agree to your point. And another thing, in these kind of tournaments, I have seen that teams who peak towards the business end of the tournaments tend to do well. So this match, I think, would do good for the confidence of Argentina. And also, I think facing Bolivia as an opponent at this time, going into the knockout stages, I think is the best result for them. And also your point that Brazil isn't facing stronger teams in the group could also be a problem for them. And maybe they have already peaked too early. So it's going to be fascinating seeing the knockout stages of this tournament.
Well, I have a question to both Adrish and Rohit. Like, you have followed Argentina's matches. How much has the inclusion of Papu Gomez affected the squad? Like, he is creative in the front, like attacking third. So.
Well, I think the changes that Argentina have made with the inclusion of Angel Di Maria and then Sergio Aguero and Papu Gomez, as you just mentioned, I think that has bolstered their squad even more. And now they are looking as like a team that can at least give Brazil a good run for their money. So I'm hopeful. I'm hoping that one god of all time has bowed out of the Euro Cup. The other GOAT, I wish him all the best. I think he deserves a silverware at the international level. Rohit.
So Shagnik, you like you actually said that Gomez, the inclusion of Gomez, how does it impact? Last day we were talking about Rodrigo De Paul, and we were very impressed in the way Rodrigo De Paul played. See, Gomez is actually an attacking midfielder. So where Scaloni used him, he was mainly used in the left wing, right? He can actually play as a winger as well, given his speed. Now, this will definitely have a positive impact on, but I won't actually say that it would lead to the creative impact of the side, because I don't think Argentina will be looking forward to creation to anyone else more than Lionel Messi. If there is someone who creates everything for Argentina, it's Messi. If there is another man who can create things for Argentina, that will be Angel Di Maria. So these two players are the main creators. I believe Gomez should focus more on finishing, which has been a consistent woe for Argentina. Like, they have missed out on sitters. And another important thing, Argentina has never been good on the left wing without Angel Di Maria. So Gomez will have to take care of that. Gomez will have to focus on the fact that they keep on attacking down the left. Gomez will have to keep on pouring in those long balls so that these attacks can be constructed.
ठीक है दोस्तों, आज बहुत मजा आया और मिलते हैं आप सभी से नेक्स्ट एपिसोड में। क्वार्टर फाइनल्स के बाद हम लोग फिर मिलेंगे और ऐसे ही हम लोगों को सपोर्ट करते रहिए। लाइक कीजिए, शेयर कीजिए और सब्सक्राइब कीजिए अपने दोस्तों के साथ, अपने परिवार के साथ। अगर अच्छा लग रहा है प्लीज थोड़ा सपोर्ट कीजिए। थैंक यू, गुड नाइट।